Growing up, all I wanted to be was a teacher. I remember my siblings and I pretend playing school, and I realized that I was very good at being in charge. But if you ask my little sister, she might just say I was good at being bossy. It wasn't until high school that I really started debating different career paths than teaching. Why? The salary. Now, I hated to admit it, and it made me really sad because I knew I had a passion for teaching, but I had to think logically about my future. Going into college, I went in as a biology major, and I realized very quickly that that was not the path for me. 2 weeks in, I changed to education. I knew that I would rather get up every morning and be excited about going to school and be excited about teaching than getting up and hating my job for the rest of my life. Now, although I came to this realization, I'm still very passionate about the idea that teachers are not paid as much as they should be. So in this speech today, I will bring attention to reasons why teachers deserve a pay raise. And the two reasons that I'm going to speak about are because teachers are having to work 2 or more jobs outside of school, and that the general public is behind the idea of having a pay raise for teachers. Andrew Biggs wrote an article called 8 Reasons Public School Teachers Aren't Underpaid. And in this article, he lists ideas on why he believes that teachers are not just paid fairly, but even he goes to say that they are overpaid in a sense. 2 of his ideas that stood out the most to me are that education degrees are not as rigorous as other degrees, resulting in lower pay. And he even says that because of this, it attracts below average students. His other idea is that teachers don't work as many hours as non-teachers. He says, and I quote, "Raising pay alone won't improve teacher quality." Now, going back to his first point about education degrees not being as rigorous as other degrees, education majors are being groomed to teach not just one specific area, such as biology or accounting. They are being taught to teach children everything they need to know in order to move on to the next grade. And this includes different kinds of teaching because not every student learns the same. So I believe his claim that education degrees are not as rigorous is not true. That is all up to opinion. And his second claim that teachers don't work as many hours as non-teachers, being an education major, I have maybe 1 or 2 lesson plans due every now and then. And I spend about 2 to 4 hours on that one lesson plan, developing that lesson, making sure it aligns with the TEKS, making sure that it's developmentally appropriate. Now, teachers teach about 8 to 9 lessons per day. So if they are spending 2 to 4 hours on every single lesson plan that they do outside of school, then they're spending the 8 hours in school delivering those lesson plans, and then more hours outside of school grading these lesson plans and making sure that their children mastered what they taught and so that they can move on. That's a lot of hours. So the claim that teachers don't work as many hours as people who are non-teachers is another false claim to me as well. While this may be the way that some people think regarding educators, I will be going into more depth about why I believe the ideas that Mr. Biggs have are unbelievable. In order to pay for necessities in life, some have to work 2 or more jobs outside of school in order to pay bills, in order to pay groceries, to just take care of themselves and their families. Now, this is very sad, in my opinion, that they are trying to teach and groom our next generations while they can barely provide for themselves. 18% of teachers work jobs outside of school. And teachers are 30% more likely to have second jobs than non-teachers. And because these numbers are so high and teachers are struggling to make ends meet, to pay for necessities, it has shown a decrease in interest for people who want to become education majors. People in the education world are not the only ones who believe that they deserve a pay raise. More than half of the Americans support the idea of teachers getting a pay increase. More than half. 3/4 believe that teachers' salaries are too low. And the people in this study believe that more money should be focused on elementary education, where children are really starting to develop and learning everything they need to know, because that affects them later in life. In a study, 7 out of 10 respondents said that they hope that their children would become public educators. The general public understands that the quality of education depends on the quality of teachers, but because the pay is so low, like I said earlier, we are having a decrease in interest, and like Mr. Big claims earlier, it's attracting more below average students. Now, even with support from the non-educator community, the pay still has not seemed to increase very much year after year. So today I've gone into detail about why ideas like Mr. Big's are not true. Teachers are not overpaid and deserve every penny that they receive. I want to remind you that teachers spend all their energy and invest it into our children to make sure that the future generations to come are well educated and are able to live their dreams and pursue their passions. And they should not feel forced to work 2 jobs in order to be able to take care of themselves. And with the support of half of Americans on their side, I believe that they shouldn't be and that there should be a change. Now, teachers prove every single day why they don't just deserve a pay raise. They need it. Thank you.